The vast, endless blackness of space held within it untold secrets, ancient forces, and forgotten histories. A story was buried within the cosmic fabric, one that would change everything humanity thought they knew about their past. This was not just a tale of survival. It was a story of a forgotten design, a design that once shaped the universe but was now long erased from history. The hum of the ship's engines echoed through the hollow chambers of the derelict vessel, a constant reminder of its long journey. The control panels flickered in the dim light, their interfaces cracked and scratched from years of use and disuse. No one had touched them in centuries, but the ship still held together, its metal frame stubbornly clinging to life, just as its last inhabitant did. Commander Tessa Van, the ship's sole occupant, had been in cryo-sleep for as long as the ship had been drifting through the void. She awoke with no recollection of the time that had passed, her mind still hazy from the long stasis. The ship's alert systems blinked to life as the cryogenic tubes released their grip on her frozen body, flooding her senses with a wave of cold sharpness. She slowly blinked, her breath coming in shallow, gasping gasps as her muscles screamed in protest. Her first thoughts were fragmented, like a jigsaw puzzle waiting to be pieced together. The memories of who she was and why she was here slipped through her fingers like sand. Tessa Van. Command. What was the mission? She muttered aloud, her voice hoarse and barely audible in the empty cabin. Her eyes scanned the screens. The ship was on autopilot, gliding toward an unknown destination. Her hands shook as she activated the ship's external sensors, and a chill ran down her spine when a massive, ancient structure came into view. A colossal ring, its surface scarred by time, floated in the distance. The ship's AI spoke up in its calm, monotone voice. Alert. Proximity to anomaly detected. Data indicates possible origin, unknown. Tessa froze. The ring was enormous, dwarfing her ship by 1,000 times. It was as if the universe had been holding its breath, waiting for her to find it. Anomaly. Is that what this is? She whispered to herself, leaning forward in disbelief. She had no records of anything like this from her mission logs, nothing to explain why the ship had headed straight for this strange object. Her mission was supposed to be to explore far-reaching star systems, not to uncover forgotten secrets. A low hum resonated throughout the ship as it began to pull closer to the ring. As it neared, the energy field surrounding the anomaly flickered, creating a pulse that sent ripples through space itself. Tessa's heart raced. The sensation wasn't just gravitational, it was something deeper, something intangible yet powerful, like a call from the very fabric of space and time. Her hand hovered over the comm system, unsure whether to reach out to base. But there was no base, was there? She was alone, lost in the depths of space, with no way of knowing what this ring truly was or what it meant. Suddenly, an image flashed onto the main screen, a visual distortion of sorts. The ship's sensors picked up human figures moving around the ring, silhouettes that looked to be from another time, or perhaps another world. Who are they? Tessa muttered, staring in horror. These figures weren't from any known human colony. Their movements were erratic, almost as though they were disconnected from reality. The AI spoke again, its voice lacking any trace of concern. Warning: unidentified life forms detected. Proceed with caution. She had no choice but to approach. As the ship entered the immediate vicinity of the ring, her instruments went haywire. One by one, the readings began to short-circuit. The temperature dropped. The comm system went silent, unable to transmit. Tessa gritted her teeth and adjusted the ship's approach, determined to figure out what was happening. Her mind was a whirlwind of questions, but before she could process anything, the ship was pulled into a sudden gravitational pull, a powerful force that warped space and time itself. Everything around her began to bend. Tessa's breath caught in her throat as the ring activated, its surface glowing, shifting with an eerie, unnatural light. She could see faces now, hundreds of them, distorted and decayed, floating within the energy field, their eyes locked in a silent scream. Why are they here? What happened? Her voice was trembling, filled with uncertainty. The ship's hull groaned as the gravitational pull intensified, dragging it toward the center of the ring. Tessa's vision blurred as the force became unbearable. Suddenly, there was a sharp, blinding light, and everything went silent. Tessa awoke again, but this time, it was different. The air felt warmer. The ground beneath her was solid, but it was strange, slick and black, as if it had never been touched by human feet. The sky above was not the starry expanse she was used to. Instead, it was a dark, swirling abyss, filled with nebulous clouds that seemed to pulse with an ominous rhythm. The figures from before were here, standing in the distance, watching her. They were no longer just silhouettes. Now, their forms were more distinct, tall, gaunt, with eyes that glowed faintly, their skin stretched tight over bone, giving them a haunting, skeletal appearance. Tessa stepped back, her mind racing. Where am I? What is this place? She turned, trying to locate her ship, but there was no sign of it. It had vanished as if it had never existed. The ground trembled beneath her feet, and then a deep, ancient voice echoed through her mind. You have crossed into our domain, Tessa Van. You are no longer in the universe you once knew. You have been forgotten by design, a casualty of time's cruel hand. The ring was only the beginning. Her heart raced as she tried to make sense of the words, but before she could react, one of the figures stepped forward. Its eyes locked onto hers, and it spoke in a voice that reverberated in her very soul. Welcome to the Forgotten World, Commander. Your journey has just begun. The truth of her mission, and of humanity's past, lay hidden in the shadows of this ancient place. But as Tessa would soon discover, not all knowledge was meant to be uncovered, and not all worlds were meant to be explored. Tessa's breath caught in her throat as the figure stepped closer. Its eyes, glowing a dull red, seemed to pierce right through her, as if it could see the deepest recesses of her soul. The world around her seemed to fade, the noise of the storm and the whispers of the unseen entities falling into a deep, unnatural silence. Why am I here? What is this place? She asked, her voice trembling, her heart pounding against her chest. The figure tilted its head, the movement slow and deliberate. It studied her for what felt like an eternity before responding, its voice more like a distant echo than a sound heard with the ears. You are here because you were chosen, it said, each word hanging in the air like a weight. Your arrival was not by chance. The ring did not just pull you in, it sought you out. Chosen, Tessa repeated, feeling a chill run down her spine. What do you mean by that? The figure's body shimmered with an eerie light, as though its form was not entirely bound to this dimension, like it was made of smoke or energy. It spoke again, its voice colder now. The humans of your world. They were not the first. They were not even the last. Tessa's mind raced, struggling to piece together the fragments of the figure's cryptic words. Not the first. What do you mean? The ring you crossed was not made for you. It was built long ago by another race, an ancient civilization that existed before your kind ever walked this galaxy, the figure said. They, too, were once gifted with the knowledge of the stars and the power to shape worlds. But greed, corruption, and the lust for control led them to build the ring, a tool of creation and destruction. Tessa stepped back, her mind struggling to comprehend the enormity of what she was hearing. The idea that humanity was not the first, that their knowledge and technology were not unique, hit her with the force of a cosmic blow. But why me? She asked, her voice barely above a whisper. The figure's glowing eyes seemed to flicker, almost as if it was amused by her question. Because you carry the seed of their creation, Commander. Your people are the result of their design. The ring was not merely a tool, it was a key, a mechanism that shaped the future of every civilization it touched. And now, it seeks its final purpose. Tessa felt a shiver run through her as she realized the magnitude of the situation. The ring, it's alive. It's more than just a structure. Indeed, the figure said, its voice carrying a weight of ancient knowledge. The ring is the final witness of a forgotten race. And now, it has brought you here to awaken the truth. Before Tessa could respond, another figure appeared from the shadows. This one was different, larger, its form more defined and its presence more imposing. Its eyes blazed with a fierce intensity that seemed to burn away the fog of uncertainty in Tessa's mind. Enough, the new figure growled. She is not ready for this truth. The time is not yet right. She must see the full scope of the destruction that was wrought before she can understand what is truly at stake. Tessa's heart raced as she realized that these beings were not only connected to the ring, they were bound to its purpose, perhaps even to its fate. The storm above them raged more fiercely now, as if the world itself was reacting to the presence of these entities. I need answers, Tessa said, her voice steady despite the fear threatening to take hold. "I need to know why this is happening, why I'm here. I need to know what happened to the humans before me." The figure that had spoken first raised a hand, and the world around her shifted. The ground trembled as a vision began to materialize in front of her. Visions of a sprawling metropolis, its streets filled with beings of strange forms, their faces both human and alien. The buildings were towering structures of advanced technology, their surfaces gleaming under the light of distant stars. "The civilization you seek is long gone," the figure said. "This is a world that existed before your kind. They were once masters of their domain, architects of their own destiny. But they, too, were consumed by their own ambition." The vision shifted, showing the metropolis crumbling under a great force, a destructive energy tearing through the city like a storm. The sky turned red, filled with flashes of light, and the buildings disintegrated into dust. A dark, ominous figure appeared in the center of the chaos, wielding a power so vast that it bent reality itself. "This is the moment of their downfall," the figure said, its tone heavy with sorrow. "The ring, once a symbol of their greatness, became their undoing. They tried to control it, but the ring had its own design. It absorbed their power, their knowledge, their essence. And it destroyed them all." Tessa's legs almost gave way beneath her as the full weight of the vision crashed down on her. The destruction, the loss of life, it was unimaginable. She understood now. The ring was not a tool of salvation. It was a harbinger of doom, a weapon that consumed everything in its path. "No," Tessa whispered, shaking her head. "This can't happen. It can't happen again." But the figures were silent, their expressions unreadable. The larger figure that had spoken earlier stepped forward, its gaze cold and distant. "The ring does not discriminate," it said. "It is a force beyond control, and its design is relentless. It will use you, Tessa Van, just as it used those who came before. The question is, will you survive the process? Will humanity survive its design?" Before she could respond, the ground beneath her feet began to shake violently. The sky above darkened even further, as if the world itself was rejecting her presence. Tessa stumbled, her hands gripping the cracked surface of the ground to steady herself. The voices of the figures merged into a single, overwhelming force, their words reverberating in her mind. "Survive, Commander. Survive, and you will see the truth." Tessa's heart pounded in her chest as the world around her trembled with violent intensity. The sky above churned with a violent storm, lightning crackling and flashing with a deadly, otherworldly glow. The ground beneath her feet buckled, as if the planet itself was struggling to reject her presence, as if it didn't want her to know the truth. The figures, towering and distant, watched silently as the chaos grew, their eyes filled with an ancient sorrow. The larger one, the one that had warned her earlier, stepped forward once again, his form more solid now, his presence pressing against her in a way that felt almost suffocating. "You cannot change the outcome, Tessa," the larger figure said, his voice deep and resonant. "You have already crossed the threshold. The past, present, and future are now intertwined. The ring calls to you, and it has already set its course." Tessa staggered back, her mind whirling with the enormity of the situation. She was no longer sure if she was even in control of her own fate. What had she awakened? What was this ancient force that had not only shaped civilizations but also destroyed them? She clenched her fists, trying to ground herself, trying to hold onto her will in the face of overwhelming uncertainty. "I don't care what the ring wants. I won't let it destroy everything I've known. I won't let it destroy humanity." The figure's glowing eyes flickered, almost as if it was contemplating her words. "Humanity, such a fragile thing. You do not understand. The ring does not care about your species. It only cares about one thing, the preservation of the design it was created for. All things are part of the design, even your existence." The weight of the figure's words hit her like a physical blow. The design, what did it mean? Was humanity just a pawn, an insignificant piece in a grand, cosmic game? "Then what am I supposed to do?" Tessa asked, her voice shaking now, despite her resolve. "How do I stop this?" The figure extended a long, slender hand toward her. In it, there was a sphere, dark, pulsing with a strange energy that seemed to ripple through space itself. "This is the answer," the figure said. The sphere is the key to controlling the ring. It was designed by those who came before you, those who built the ring to control the flow of time, to govern the endless cycle of creation and destruction. This is what you must wield, if you wish to survive. Tessa reached out instinctively, her fingers brushing against the dark sphere. As she made contact, a jolt of energy coursed through her, and for a moment, she could see everything. The endless expanse of the universe, the rise and fall of countless civilizations, and the destructive power of the ring. It all flashed before her eyes in a dizzying kaleidoscope of colors and shapes, each one more vivid and terrifying than the last. She gasped, stumbling backward, her head spinning as the weight of the vision settled on her. The sphere. It had shown her everything, every event, every choice, every loss and victory. She understood now. She understood the design. The ring wasn't just a physical construct. It was a part of something far greater, a force that governed the fabric of the universe, shaping life and death, creation and destruction. It was a mechanism, a tool used by those who had come before her to control the flow of existence itself. But that power had come at a terrible cost. The previous civilizations had built the ring to preserve their legacy, to ensure their influence would last for eternity. But in doing so, they had become slaves to it. The ring, once an instrument of creation, had turned into an agent of destruction, swallowing everything in its path, leaving nothing but the void. Tessa's vision cleared, and she found herself once again standing on the barren world. The storm raged above her, the dark sky swirling with unnatural energy. The figures surrounding her remained silent, waiting for her to make her choice. "You must decide, Commander," the smaller figure said softly. "You cannot undo what has been set in motion. You can only choose how the story ends. Will you stand with the ring, or will you try to defy it?" Tessa felt her stomach twist. She could feel the weight of the sphere in her hands, its power pulsing with the promise of knowledge, of control, but also of destruction. She knew that if she chose to wield the sphere, she would become a part of the ring's design, a part of its cycle of creation and decay. There would be no turning back. But if she rejected it, if she tried to destroy the ring or hide from it, would humanity be wiped out completely? Would the design continue, consuming all that she had ever known and loved? Her thoughts raced, but one thing became clear: she couldn't let the cycle continue. She couldn't let the ring control the fate of the universe. "I choose to fight," she said, her voice firm. "I won't let humanity be erased by this design. I'll find a way to break it." The figures regarded her silently for a moment, and then the larger figure nodded slowly. "So it begins, then. But be warned, Commander. The ring will fight back. It will test you. And even if you succeed in breaking it, there will be a price." Tessa gripped the sphere tighter, her determination hardening. "I'm ready to pay whatever price is necessary." With that, the storm above them intensified, the ground trembled beneath her feet, and the ring, somewhere far in the distance, began to hum with an ancient, resonating power. The beginning of the end had come. The battle for humanity's future, and for the very fabric of existence, was about to begin. As the storm roared louder, Tessa stood tall, the sphere pulsing with unimaginable power in her grasp. She felt the weight of every decision she had made, the fate of humanity resting on her shoulders. The ring, ancient and relentless, glowed with a dark promise of destruction, but Tessa's will burned brighter. With a final, defiant breath, she activated the sphere, shattering the cycle of creation and decay. The ring trembled, its grip on the universe loosening. The stars above seemed to breathe once more, a new dawn rising from the ashes of a forgotten design. Humanity was free.